Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Warrior Report here on HBC TV 25. I'm Justin Barrientos. Thank you for joining us, and we're joined today by track and field head coach Mason Rebarchek at Winona State. Thank you for being here today.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
We kind of apologize. We haven't had you on the show in a long time, but we thought we were done with the show after baseball and softball wrapped, and then we saw the news that Tamika Tucker was qualified for the NCAA Championships, and we thought we'd bring you guys along and talk about your season.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad to be here. Thanks.
Let's back up just a little bit and talk about indoor, because that's the beginning of your season. You start in December with the indoor season. Kind of overall, did things go the way that you wanted them to this year?
Yeah, I think so. It was definitely a big year of transition for us. You know, with Mike Turgeon having left to be a head coach elsewhere, and that was obviously the throwing was a big part of our program for a lot of years, and lost a lot of our throwers either through graduation or transfer or whatever, and so it was a big transition year for us, a little smaller team, and coming off of the conference championship win last year, and not really knowing what to expect this year, but certainly had a great group of returners and leadership, whether it be seniors or underclassmen, and we'd never placed worse than fourth at the conference outdoor meet in the last 15 years, so definitely had hoped to stay above that, even though it's a big transition, and excited that we're able to do that this spring.
Well, in the past couple of years, you've had a lot of success. You were talking about throwing, and you had Caitlin Long, who ended up with 2 national championships. So in that sense, the Warrior program was kind of on a roll coming into these last couple of years, right?
Yeah, we were, absolutely. Yeah. Caitlin had won the national titles, and we pretty consistently are taking a few people to nationals every year, and you know, and then with the conference win last year, it was kind of a long time climbing back to the top of that heap of 15 schools in the conference, and so yeah, I think last year was definitely on a roll, I guess, as you said.
All right, so let's kind of talk generally about what you do with the program. You're the head coach of everything, but there's a whole lot of different events and a lot of different athletes and things, and you have a couple of coaches on your staff as well. So first, what is it that you do as head coach at Winona State?
Right, so I'm the head track and field coach as well as the director of cross country. Brett Ayers has been our cross country coach and does an outstanding job, so my director role on that can be pretty minimal, as he'll do all the scheduling and all that kind of stuff. So, so Brett has been in charge of cross country and all the distance events. Evan, in past years, Evan Perkins has been our jumps coach and multi-event, which is heptathlon for the women. And then now with Mike leaving, Evan has stepped into the role of our throwing events as well. And then so I take care of our short sprints, 100 all the way up to some of our half milers, as well as the hurdlers, relays. So that's I guess the area that I cover.
All right, let's talk about then meet day. What is it that you do? What is it that you let your coaches do? And maybe what do you let your athletes kind of do?
Yeah, well, I've always liked to run our program in such a way that each event coach is really the head coach of their event area. We've had very fortunate, all the years I've been here, to have very, very capable coaches. I think if we were in a situation where we had coaches, assistant coaches with less experience, maybe I'd do a little bit more hands-on with some of the oversight of their areas, but I've really never needed to. And my other philosophy with the running events, not so much in the field events, because there needs to be a little bit more. For instance, in the long jump, you need somebody watching, are you on the board, and things like that. But in the running events, my philosophy has always been, if I'm doing my job during the week, they shouldn't need me on the weekend. So really, I'm just kind of helping them manage their day, whether it be if the running event schedule gets ahead or behind and they need to know, hey, should I warm up earlier or later, or just whether they need a little pep talk or motivation at any point, or you know, just making sure that they've got what they need on the day, and like I said, as long as they're putting in the work during the week and I'm teaching them what they need to know during the week, they should be where they need to be on the weekend.
All right, let's talk about this season then, and again, we'll go back to indoor at the start. All throughout the season, indoor and outdoor, you've had school records fall, you've had some event champions and that sort of thing. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the successes that you've had for the indoor part?
Sure, yeah, I guess I should have brought a list along of records we've
Whatever
had.
You can
certainly,
remember.
Yeah, certainly we've had a lot of, you know, we keep track of our, you know, like any school, any sport, you keep track of your top performances of all time, and as always, we've had a lot of additions to that this year. Taylor Jurish, who's been a solid javelin thrower for us these last 2 years, had a monster throw at conference last week, and just missed the national meet by 1 spot. and real close to our school record set by Lauren Brown, who was our All-American in the JAV a number of years ago. And so Taylor did a great job. Aaron Bramble moved up into second place in the hammer throw conference last week, which was pretty exciting. And we had a freshman, Callie Harris, got third at the conference championship in the 400 hurdles, which is a brand new event in high school. They only run the 300 hurdles, so to move up to that was pretty exciting. We had a fair number of injuries this year, which is pretty rare. Normally we have very few injuries, and some of our top people in my group were out most of the year, the whole year with injuries, so that held us back a little bit. So being able to get third at the championship, conference championship, was pretty exciting, knowing we had some injuries in there. And our middle distance group, our 800, 1500 group, was particularly strong this year. It's one thing to have one or two good people in that event area, but we had a lot. And so to be able to, in the indoor season, have a distance medley relay, that was very successful, as well as to have just individuals in the 800. And indoors we run the mile, outdoors it's the 1500 meters. Okay. But to have such a successful group there was pretty exciting, because that hasn't traditionally been a strong event area for us. So Brett Ayers did an outstanding job with that group. And indoor season's particularly hard for distance runners. I mean, it's a lot of laps around a small oval, and it's hard on their bodies. And so to be able to keep them healthy and competing at such a high level, especially probably the strength of our conference, maybe in addition to the throws, is certainly the middle distance events, with some of the other schools in our league having really strong milers and half milers. So for them to have that kind of success was pretty exciting.
Let's talk about the injuries just a little bit, and how you kind of handle the injury situation. Obviously, it means that maybe some younger athletes have to get thrown into the mix a little bit earlier than maybe you wish that they would. How ready were your other athletes to step in when your injured players went down?
Yeah, certainly track and field would be different than any other sport, where you've got to have one quarterback on the field in football, and so if your main guy goes down, you got to have the next guy ready. But in track and field, there's certainly room for, whether you've got 8 good people in one event, they can all compete, or however that works out. So you're not always so much looking for the next person, except maybe in a relay. Yeah, you certainly get more opportunities, I think, as an underclassman or something like that, someone that might get on a 4x1 or a 4x4 that wouldn't normally get the chance to. So, we try to train everybody, I think, like any sport coach would, try to train everybody in such a way that when they get that opportunity, they're ready. So, for instance, in the fall, we train all of our sprinters, even our jumpers who may never get on the track in a sprint event. We train them all on how to do relay exchanges, so that if they are put in that opportunity, that they feel like they have the chance to be successful. I think Allie Schmidt would be a good example of that. Really hadn't been on the track in any events, more of a jumper and a jab thrower for us, but we trained her in the fall how to do those relays, and when we had those injuries late in the season, she was able to step in and pick up that spot in the 4x1.
How much, I don't know if you want to say leeway, but I mean, how much do you give somebody who's just starting out in an event and they have never done it before, and then they have to try that, like you were talking about? I mean, what do you expect from them when they have to compete?
We never want to put anybody in a position where they won't be successful. I mean, we want to make sure they've been trained in a way that they can have some success. So we do expect them to execute and do a good job, and they put in the same training all year long as those that are maybe our top people or that are normally in those relays. So we really do believe that the training that they put in and what we teach them in terms of how to execute, we really do believe that they will have success when we put them in, and they've done a good job this year and last year. We put some different people in relays, and it worked out.
Okay. Now, at the end of the indoor season, you did have one qualify for the NCAA indoor track and fields, and that was Heather Buckler, and she just missed the cut for the finals. Talk about her performance this season. Yeah,
she's done a great job. She, coming off of last year's outdoor season where she had really a career kind of a season, and coming back into this year, she did really what we had hoped she would do and expected that she would, and really had a great indoor season before having a season-ending injury early on in the outdoor season. So that's what kind of kept her out of the spotlight this outdoor season.
All right, let's talk about the outdoor season kind of in general. We'll talk about the weather first, because obviously we were talking about baseball and softball and how that kind of messed things up, and now you get outdoors and then you maybe can't do a whole lot outdoors. How much did the weather affect your season?
It was definitely a unique season. Certainly early on, all the coaches were kind of trying to recall, how much. When's the last time we've had a season like that? With the late snow and the late cold weather, and it ended up working out okay. We were inside more often than we would usually be early in the outdoor season for training, and maybe that had to do with some of the injuries. I'm not really sure, but training more inside, and what ended up happening is there were some midweek days, like some Wednesdays and Thursdays, that the weather was actually okay. So even though we canceled some weekend meets, some schools stepped up and put on some midweek meets. St. Mary's, for instance, put on a midweek meet when we knew there was going to be some good weather. Mankato picked up a meet midweek early season. So we were able to get all of our meets in. They were just like softball. Coach Jones said that I think their first 10 or more dates were not on the day they were supposed to be, or
right.
even at the location they were supposed to be. Track and field season was the same way. We were all over the place with different meets and different days than they were supposed to be. And then our furthest away meet in Northwest Missouri, they even had bad weather that far south. So we even had to cancel that one and ended up going to a midweek meet instead. So we were able to get in our normal number of meets. It was just kind of a crazy schedule. And then, of course, late in the season, as everybody knows, the weather got gorgeous. And we had a real nice end of the season other than the conference meet. Friday was so cold, we ended up making it a one-day meet, which worked out okay.
So how does that affect your athletes as far as moving meets from weekends into midweek? Do they kind of get into a routine where they're doing stuff during the week to get ready for that weekend, and now you're throwing a bunch of different meets together on different days?
Yeah, I think track and field, maybe more than any other sport, would be affected by that because other sports, it's a ball and a game against another opponent, and you just kind of you're going and you're playing. But track and field, the main thing we do is try to be physically prepared. Like that's all we do. Get the body as prepared as possible to perform at the highest level you're able to. And so yeah, certainly it as a coach, it makes you be creative with your workouts and your training, and I think it worked out. It threw us some curveballs, but I think everything worked fine. I'm sure that'd be a great question to ask Tamika in a few minutes here, but how they as an athlete are affected. But no, I think you roll with it, and again, as a coach, it's kind of fun. It throws a little curveball at you, makes you be more creative with your workouts and how you line them up, because you've typically got a system, of what days a week you do certain work, and no, it was challenging and fun, I think, for sure.
Now, track and field would be a little bit more unique because you're traveling a little bit more. You maybe have one that you're hosting, and with St. Mary's, obviously, you get another one. And this year, you hosted the NCAA Outdoor Championships. So, how does that affect athletes in preparation for travel and that sort of thing, not having a whole lot of home meets?
Yeah, that's a great question. I never really thought about that because that's always been my life as a coach and as an athlete. You just know that you're traveling most of the time, and I think the good thing is a lot of times we're not doing overnight trips. A lot of it's single-day trips, but no, I think the athletes are ready for it and they're used to it, and a lot of our meets aren't too far away, just a couple hours on a bus to Mankato or someplace like that. So it's not like we're hours and hours on the bus. During the regular season. The longest we travel is maybe one mid-season meet, and then the conference meet if it's a long ways away. Okay.
Now, as I said, you did host the NCAA Outdoor. That had to be a thrill. It was the first time since 2014, I think, that you hosted that.
Yep, that's true. And then 2014, we hadn't hosted it in something like 40 years, if ever. But yeah, it's certainly exciting for the athletes. And it's a pretty major event to put on. It's something like 600 athletes from 27 teams, I think, between men and women, and it's a pretty major endeavor, and changing it to a one-day meet at the end at the last minute made it certainly interesting, but went well. I told Jordan, our games management guy, that was the gold standard. He'd never worked a track and field meet before, and the crew, the volunteers, the workers, people from out of town, our head officials, it was top-notch. We had one of our athletes, Carrie Schneis, was injured, and a football guy, Corey King, that really were a huge help to me on the other end of the radio. If anything went wrong or needed some last-minute assistance, they were there, and Coach Getson and some other coaches really put a lot of work in to help us put the event on. It really went well, thanks to a lot of hard work from a lot of people.
All right, let's talk about a little bit of the success that you guys had in the outdoor season. I don't know if you mentioned Christy Springer, triple jump, and Amanda Schaefer, both all conference marks in the outdoor season.
Yeah, I didn't mention them. Christy came in, as you said, her freshman year, did an amazing job. We knew she would. Very athletic, hard worker, and ended up in second place in the triple jump at conference, I think by about a centimeter. And then Amanda Schaefer's been really all over the place, all the different jumps throughout her career. And it was really exciting to see her. Her last event for the team was the triple jump, and to see her finish with a third place right behind her good friend Christy. So that was really fun and exciting, and for her to be able to finish in that way.
In all, you had 7 all-conference finishes. So kind of rate that. How good is that to get 7 all-conference?
That's pretty impressive. We've got a really outstanding conference. And I was looking at some of the individual results at the end of the season, and there are years that we even place third or higher as a team and don't have champions, you know, or don't have that many all-conference. So that was pretty neat team effort to be able to have that many all-conference people, which is just people who place individually in the top 3. That's a pretty big deal in this conference.
All right, and then what we've been kind of asking coaches at the end of the year, talk about your seniors and those that are going to be going away. What mark have they left on the Warrior program?
Oh, there's a larger group this year of seniors than we often have. A lot of distance runners who've done a lot of work in building this program, certainly. I think, I'm not sure if I have any individuals that I would particularly pull out, but as a group, they've been a really great group of leaders and bringing this team along, and certainly last year as juniors being able to be a part of the conference championship. But I really think any group of seniors leadership is one thing that they bring and help to continue the culture, especially with a small group of freshmen this year. They've helped to be able to just continue that culture as we move through from year to year.
All right, and now as you're heading towards your off season, what does that look like for you? What does the recruitment process look like?
It's really getting started on the current juniors as they finish their season. You know, we've got all of our incoming or this year's high school seniors are already set, and they're coming in. We've got a really outstanding group, maybe one of the better groups we've ever brought in. And so it's going to a couple of state meets and watching the talent of the juniors and getting in touch with them and starting that process as we work to get those people committed in the fall this coming year.
All right, well, we'll take a break here on the Warrior Report. When we come back, we'll get the athlete perspective as Tamika Tucker joins us right after this.
Don't miss out on highlights and score updates from your favorite local college and high school athletics by following HBC TV 25 Sports. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to get up-to-date information on all the games covered by the HBC sports team. Grab your smartphone and add us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at HBC TV 25 Sports.
This is Bobby Flay.
I'm coming for you, Bobby.
They say he's never had to eat his words. But if he did, they'd be delicious. They say the word flavor was named after him. They say he can make an omelet without breaking an egg.
We were hoping for that.
They say you can beat Bobby Flay. What do they know? Beat Bobby Flay, Thursday night at 10 on Food Network.
With our partnership with HBC, we were able to now be a smart gigabit community with US Ignite and the National Science Foundation. All their other partners are large metropolitan urban areas, Austin, Texas, San Francisco, Washington, D.C. And because of the broadband connectivity provided by HBC, we are a community lead for this initiative where we're going to be able to bring next-gen technology and stay competitive in the 21st century economy.
Providing opportunities for residential and business customers, HBC is leadership in your community.
NASCAR racing is still red hot, and the excitement is bigger this year with fresh new faces like Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, Eric Jones, and Alex Bowman. Raceline brings you the inside story on these drivers and the veterans too, and it's as close as your TV, right here every week. Hear from your favorite drivers and how they plan to accomplish a lifetime dream, winning a NASCAR championship. It's on Raceline every week right here.
And welcome back to the Warrior Report here on HBC TV 25. We're talking track and field today, and Tamika Tucker joins us. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
Let's talk a little bit about your past. You're from Iowa, Davenport, Iowa, went to Davenport North. Tell us a little bit about your high school career.
So I was on varsity track since freshman year. We kind of had a small track team back home. And in high school, I mainly just focused on sprints, mainly the 100 and the 200. And then towards senior year, occasionally I would do the 4. I think that's because Coach mentioned, you know, maybe getting a couple of those in before coming. I had a pretty successful track and field career in high school. I went to state for a lot of the races I ran, and I also went to Drake relays too. So it was a fun experience, and high school really just got me ready for college.
And in high school, I think I saw a couple pictures. You played some basketball
Yes.
as well. Did you play any other sports in high school?
I cheered and I was on dance team, and then I just played basketball, and then I tried cross country for a little bit, and then just track and field, yeah.
All right, so when did you know that track and field was going to be your focus and that was going to be your main sport?
So I have older siblings, and of course, being a younger sibling, you look up to your older siblings. So my sisters all played basketball and ran track, and it kind of just ran in the family. So seeing my sister run at Drake relays in high school, that just kind of got me motivated to like want to do what she was doing. So then that led to me playing basketball, and then we realized that I was more successful at track than basketball. So I wanted to focus on that going into college.
All right, and how did you find out about Winona State? What is it that brought you here?
So actually my coach, Mary Toohill, that coached at North High School, brought up Winona State to me because her daughter was a distance runner and was interested in attending Winona State. And she told me it was beautiful, great campus, and she thought that I would really like it. So she set up a visit, and as soon as I went there, I fell in love with the campus. Was it in the fall?
I think so.
Yeah, it was a little cold out, but that did not distract me. I still thought that everything was beautiful, and instantly connected with my coaches that I have now. And the girls on the team were very inviting and just great communication throughout the whole visit, and I just loved it.
Well, it sounds like if every recruit were like that, you get a lot more easier recruits. So what was the process like to get Tamika here to Winona State?
Yeah, pretty much what she described with her coach getting in touch. We don't get a lot of people from the state of Iowa, so she got in touch first and then just went from there. And obviously being a good sprinter, we're excited to have her for that. And then once she got here, she developed from there.
All right. Well, now you're in the long jump
Yes.
in the NCAA Championships, and I think you also picked up the triple jump along the way. And one of the things I saw you post on Twitter was that your high school coach would probably be surprised to see that you're a jumper now. How did that happen?
Coach Perkins, which as mentioned earlier, our jumps coach, he stated that he's seen some potential of me possibly being a jumper, and he mentioned it to Coach Mason a couple times. And when I first heard that, I was scared because it's like, okay, I'm in college, everyone's like good at running, you know, and it's like, or good at jumping, and I'm like, I have no clue what I'm doing with these jumps. But I mean, I tried it out, and at first I really just was not understanding it really. But as we see, as time has went on, I've started to pick everything up, whether it was technique and just, you know, of course got the running down. You get the running part down, but it was the technique and stuff like that that really took some time to click, and now I'm just happy that I picked that up.
And timing, I would imagine, would be
Yes.
like, especially in the triple jump. How long did it take you to kind of figure that out?
Well, triple wasn't really something that we were really actually going to focus on, but for some reason during a jumps practice, our jumps coach was just kind of playing around with me, seeing if I could do some like drills, and he was like, well, you're an athlete, and I just think you'd do well at this too. So they just kind of put me out there, and I wanted to be out there doing it, so it just went great. There was confidence, and I enjoyed tripling.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the jumps that you had recently. I know that you set a school record in Mankato just a little while ago, 19 feet 9 inches on the long jump. Can you tell us a little bit about that jump and what you were feeling?
So it was kind of a windy day at first, so a lot of my teammates and I were just a little nervous about scratching or not being on the board, or, you know, fouling a couple jumps. So to me, I was just thinking, like, bring the speed, don't change anything. If you're not on the board, coach will fix it, and just go out there and perform. And so when that jump happened, I was kind of shocked. I didn't have really any emotion at the time, but it all came to me at the end of the meet, like, that I jumped that, and it was just really awesome, and I had a great day.
Now in the indoor championships, 18 feet 6 inches was your long jump there,
Yeah.
and so that's quite a difference between the two. Is there a difference between jumping indoor and outdoor?
Yeah, because the weather, of course, like you won't have any wind issues worrying about the wind or anything like that. And I just feel like it's all the same to me. You're running and you're jumping, maybe more people around indoor, you know, since it's a lot of people in a facility. But I mean, to me, it's all the same. The only difference would be the weather. Yeah.
Okay. What was your reaction to the 19.9?
Our athletes are always a little shocked by our reaction when they do something like that, because as coaches we know they have it in them, and so we're not surprised by it. We're excited for them that they put it together, but as coaches we see the kind of work they put in and the talent they have, and you know, Tamika there's just a lot of pieces to the long jump, and it's just kind of putting them together one at a time, and eventually it'll all come together on that one jump and you'll hit it. And so she was able to do that, and again, obviously excited for her, but I don't think in any way were we surprised at all. Everybody 19.9 is the mark that always gets read, but in track and field college world it's metric, and so 6 meters is kind of that benchmark. And so she hit 6:02 or 6:04 or whatever it was that day, and so it was just kind of, in our minds, it was just a matter of time before she hit 6 meters, so it was good to see her hit it.
All right, so that was the longest in the NSIC this season, and obviously it was a qualifier for the NCAA Championships. So now as you're going towards the NCAAs, it'll be coming up at the end of the week. What are some of the things that you're kind of thinking about, and how excited are you to be competing?
I think I'm still in shock because people will be like, congratulations, and I'm just like, thanks, but like, I'm trying not to think about it, because when you start to overthink, that's when you just mentally are not. For me, I know myself to the point now where it's like, don't overthink, just stay cool, calm, and collective like I did during conference. You're just going out there doing what you do every day, do what you do at practice, just sprint and boing.
All right, so what's the process then in this heading towards the NCAAs? Do you get to go along with Tamika? Is it Evan that goes along?
Yep. Evan will be there, of course, as her jumps coach, and then head coaches would generally go along. So yeah, the process is really what Tamika just said. Just keep doing what you're doing. You put in all the work already, and she's ready to go. And you don't change anything at this point. Everybody that's there deserves to be there, and at that high of a level, everybody's so close together. What their best jump is, that really anything can happen. It's you got to get it done on the day, and that's what's exciting about it.
All right, well, let's kind of take your mind off that just a little bit and kind of clear something up here. When you came in, it looked like you were a senior listed, but you're actually a junior athletically, so you still have one more year left here at Winona State. Tell us a little bit about that. I know that you redshirted 1 year. What was that like to kind of sit and watch how the college world worked compared to high school?
So actually, I really think that it was great, and that it was a blessing that I was actually in a situation to do so, because I got to grow as a person and as a student and an athlete, just all around. And it let me focus on classes, and it also let me focus on what I actually wanted to do, what did I want to go to college for, and then at the same time it gave me chances to go in and talk to coach and just figure out other things that I wanted to pursue. So I just think it was great having that redshirt year, because now that I know my body and the coaches know what we need to do and things are falling into place, that just gives me another year to be stronger and to come back and try to do the same thing.
Now I understand that fitness and maybe athletic fitness is a big thing for you, especially meal preparation, that sort of thing. Talk about that, and is that something that you want to pursue in the future?
Yeah, so I'm majoring in communications, and I definitely want to work somewhere with health communication. I just think that just learning about the body and ways to better your physical fitness and your eating habits and things like that just really excites me. And with Winona State has let me work with a lot of clients there, and I do personal training at the gym as well. So I just want to stick in the health communication field and hopefully do something in there.
All right. What's the strangest question that you've been asked as an athletic trainer?
How can I lose weight without doing cardio? So, which you can, but it's just so funny because it's like, well, you do gotta run, you gotta do something to get going. But yeah, that's definitely like the main question.
Okay, so don't ask that question.
Yeah.
I guess that's what that is. All right. Well, thank you for joining us here, and good luck in the NCAA Championships.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us here on the Warrior Report here on TV 25. We'll see you next time here on HBC.